Let's keep things moving here on the program. We're going to say hello to a gentleman in his first season as the head football coach of the Duke Blue Devils. I tell you what, Duke is off to the 6-1 start. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to be upon week 9 of the college football season, and already Duke is bowl eligible. At 6-1, got a home tilt on Saturday against SMU. Manny Diaz is the head football coach of the Blue Devils, joins us here on the program. What's going on, Coach Diaz?
How you been? How's everything going?
Everything is going well. I got to start here. I don't know if I didn't know this or maybe didn't remember it. You were, in fact, the inventor of the turnover chain?
Well, it was our staff, defense staff. I'm going to give everybody the credit in that room as we were brainstorming, trying to find out something that would help us get more turnovers, and it had it, long live the turnover chain. It had a great life while it was a thing, and it served its purpose, and it'll forever live in college football lore.
Yeah, but it seems like the chains that all these different chains that the pro teams have and all that sort of came from that. Are you getting any residuals from that?
Not at all. Terrible mistake. It is crazy. I mean, I was watching the NBA Finals. The guy behind the bench with a huge Celtics chain behind it, and it's just, it is what it is. It's crazy what attaches to society.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Your thoughts? Big win over Florida State on Friday. Your thoughts on the Blue Devils' performance?
Well, I'm proud of where we are right now. We have still not come close to playing our best game, which is what most coaches would probably say this time of year. But the guys have bought into what we're doing. They're playing. They're doing the things that make us hard to beat. Right. We're protecting the football. We're taking it away. We're playing great defense. Making very few mental mistakes, and we're playing very hard. So it's been a fun team to coach. And, and the more games you win, the more quote unquote big games you get the right to play in.
No doubt about it. For you, and you mentioned how the team is playing to this point. What is it like being back? You spent some time here in the Triangle at NC State. What is it like being back in the Triangle now as the head man of a program there at Duke?
We love it. My wife Stephanie and I, we always loved our time here when we were at State. Kind of always felt like for some reason that we could see us that coming back to the Triangle, you just don't ever control in this profession where you work, because it's all about timing and the opportunity, opening up at the right time. And when this Duke job, came open, it just felt like the perfect fit for us. And every day I've been here since, it's completely backed up that intuition.
Manny Diaz, in his first season as the head football coach at Duke, he joins us here on BOXTOROW on the program. I just want to kind of get your thoughts from let me go. I got to go back to Florida State though, just momentarily, because it was the last game, and we're going to talk a little bit more about SMU. I mean, to the point, not only was it a big win, right, but you only had 70 yards passing in this game and 110 yards rushing, which makes it, that's 180 yards of total offense, but you had some turnovers. That makes it even more of a bigger win.
Yeah, we had to grind it out. We had to find a way. It wasn't easy. Florida State's very talented on defense, and we had some tough matchups. We really played without two of our best matchups in the passing game. Nicky Dalmolin, our tight end, we lost him, and Jordan Moore, our top receiver. We think when he's one of the top receivers in the ACC, and he only played a handful of snaps in that game. So it was gonna be tough on our quarterback. But what ultimately was a difference in the game is their quarterbacks turned the ball over and ours didn't. And, once we were able to take a 2-touchdown lead midway through the second quarter, we believed in our defense, and our offense protected our defense. That's not always easy on the eye to watch, but it got the job done.
You mentioned the quarterback, Malik Murphy. You look at his numbers, 14 touchdowns to 5 interceptions through 7 games. He's having a pretty good season, at least from a statistical standpoint. Your thoughts on the way he's played so far this year?
Yeah, he's improving. He's learning to become more consistent every week. No quarterback wants to throw for 70 yards or whatever you mentioned it was, but every game has a different approach in terms of how you have to win it, right? And we did what it took to win the game last week. Now this week will be a very different plan on how to beat these guys, and every player has to know you've got to be able to adapt to what's best for the football team.
Manny Diaz is the head football coach at Duke. He joins us here on the program. Last time we talked, with you. You were the head coach at Miami. Can you speak to how the job in Miami and then the subsequent job as the defensive coordinator at Penn State, where Penn State was ranked, I think, number 2 nationally, at least during your 2 years that you were there, helped you to where you are now and the success you're having at Duke?
Well, there's nothing, there's no substitute for experience, right? And there's nothing in this profession that's like being a head coach. So no matter how many years you're a coordinator, um, the first time you have a chance to be a head coach, the learning curve is going to be steep, right? And certainly I learned a lot in my time at Miami, even in just the difference between year 1 and year 2. Um, and ultimately it wasn't enough for the situation down there, and that's okay because you learn from that the same way you learn from any loss in this sport. But I also know that there were some good things that we accomplished, down there, and including winning 5 out of our last 6, which you tie that to winning 6 out of our first 7 here. That's a pretty good run to be on. And then the time at Penn State was important as well, to get to work for a guy like James Franklin, who's won a ton of games. We won a ton of games those 2 years up there in Happy Valley. And it gives you a chance to kind of reset, refine your voice as a head coach, that if you do get an opportunity to do it again, that you know that you can do it better than you did the first time, which is, by the way, the same thing you would expect of a player, right? Players, more they play, the better they get. Coaches were no different. So, and then the ability to work at a great university with great support and to be able to put a great staff together, which is really the most important thing a head coach does. And so we've got great people here, and I think that's what the winning is a byproduct of.
You've been at some places, Florida State to start your career, where you're a graduate, of course, of Florida State. You look at Miami, you look at Texas also, and these are national programs that have won national championships. Is Duke a place where you can win a national championship?
It is. It absolutely is, because college football is completely flipped on its head right now, and it's changing, right? And you're seeing it. Who would have thought? Well, just think about it. If someone had told you 5 years ago that we live in a world where Vanderbilt beat Alabama and Duke beat Florida State, I don't know that people would have believed that to be true. But you can reshape a roster in a hurry. And this place just has some outstanding things to sell. And the great thing is our players want to be here, and they want to be here for the right reasons. So we have a chance to build a team, the old fashioned way. And that's hard because not everybody right now really has, there's a lot of collections of individuals, right? But we still believe there's a team sport and the teams win. And that's part of the attraction of Duke. And I think it attracts a lot of great recruits. We have the best recruiting class Duke's ever had in their history committed to us right now. And it's not complicated. You stack great personnel, and pretty soon you have a great team. And that's our goal and mission right here.
Manny Diaz, the head football coach at Duke, joining us for a couple of more moments here on the program. Your thoughts on your upcoming opponent, SMU, who is ranked number 22 in the nation?
Well, have a lot of respect professionally and personally for Rhett Lashley. I consider him a friend. Not surprised at all at the success he's had there. They were conference champions a year ago, so there's a standard and an expectation to win. And they've got a lot of great talent because a lot of players that we had together when we were at Miami. So making the transition to a Power 4 team, they already had Power 4 players all over their roster. So it's not a surprise that they're off to a great start. With that said, I like our guys as well. I think it's gonna be a great game. I really do. I have a lot of respect for both teams and the way that they compete. And what we believe is, and if you're playing in this league, expect it to come down to the fourth quarter, expect it to be a close game at the end. And we don't think this will be any different.
It would be a derelict of my duty not to ask you this question. As I look at your schedule, you beat Middle Tennessee, you beat North Carolina, you beat Florida State. One may look at the schedule, still got Miami on the schedule, also NC State. One may look at the schedule and say, well, you may be on a bit of a revenge tour, whether it be a program, or an individual that you've worked with in the past. Do you look at it that way?
Well, it's not a revenge tour, but we can admit the ACC has a heck of a sense of humor, right? When the schedule came out, it's about everywhere I'd ever worked in one schedule. It's more of like a reunion tour, and that just means that you're getting old because it just means that you've worked at a lot of different places, and that's okay. But the revenge is to me is a poor motivation. Again, in this program, we talk about us and our standard, and that being enough. And so far, in 6 out of 7 games, it has been.
last thought, in just doing the research, I think I may have asked you this before, but your father, Manny Diaz, a lot of success. He was the mayor of Miami at a time when he was needed, really turned that city around from really what I was reading. How much of an inspiration has he and he continues to be for you?
Yeah, it was great. He became mayor when I was actually at NC State. And he served two terms, so it was 8 years. So really, when I was at State, when I first became a defensive coordinator, and to be able to, gain advice, wisdom from somebody who sits in the public eye, who has to make decisions or be accountable for decisions or times that really they may not even made themselves, and that's, you're not always in control of everybody in your organization, but you are accountable for everybody in your organization, and no matter what, you've got to set the vision. You've got to look in the face of criticism, and you're going to be judged by people who really at times don't even know what's going on and how it's happening. But you have to stick to your ideals and beliefs and do what's right. So yeah, to have that role modeled was great, just from a family standpoint, but certainly in terms of me being a football coach and helping me develop my career.
Manny Diaz, again, the head football coach of the Blue Devils, joining us here on the program. The Blue Devils are 6-1 on the season, a home tilt on Saturday against SMU. Coach Diaz, as always, appreciate the time. Continued success to you and the Blue Devils.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait till next time.